Okay, we are live. Welcome back to Staying Connected, guys. It is Friday, so that means that we have somebody from an organization today. And today I am joined with Jay from Veterans in Crisis. So how you doing, Jay, bud?
Good mate, thanks for inviting us on.
Yeah. So what we usually do when we do these ones on a Friday is we'll have the guest introduce themselves and just tell us a little bit about who they are and what they do, mate. So if you wouldn't mind, Jay.
All right, and well, my name's Joe Fowler, and I run Veterans in Crisis. Veterans in Crisis is a community interest company which I set up in January 2018. I worked for a homeless charity in Sunderland, set up their veterans service, but I wasn't happy the way things were going in that service. So I left and set up on my own. I just started with a £10 pay-as-you-go mobile phone,
Well,
nothing else. I managed to blag myself an office in the Civic, or a seat in an office, no internet or anything, just
wow.
this phone. And it just grew and grew and grew. And now we are 2 years later, and I have 280 clients and a
Wow,
four-story building,
that's mad. That makes
transit van. Um, so we help veterans in Sunderland. We only help veterans in Sunderland. So the criteria is you have to be registered with a doctor in Sunderland. This is because it was getting so big, we had to make some sort of cut-off point.
sure.
Because even people were saying, well, I'm only in Whitburn, but then the next person was saying, well, I'm only in South Shields, and
Yeah,
you know, so
Washington, and then it's
yeah.
just gonna
So
yeah.
oh, we do Washington, so
Washington's
it's
all right.
the metropolitan area of Sunderland, so it's like the
Ah,
coalfields,
got it. Yeah.
um, and we help with everything from drug and alcohol support, mental health, social isolation,
Brilliant.
housing, employment, anything problem the veterans got, we can help with.
That's absolutely awesome, mate. So, what really inspired this? Like, what inspired you to kind of set it up? What was the
Well, I'm a veteran myself, and when I was in the army in 1988, I was part of a terrorist attack,
wow?
where 8 people died.
Oh,
Uh, Left the army in '91. Started, well, I wouldn't say it. I'm not blaming the army on me taking drugs, but it was like
mhm.
the rave scene, so I was taking
Yeah,
ecstasy and
of the
smoking
'90s. Yeah.
weed and stuff like that. I was having a decent time, to be honest. But then my friend who I was in the army with, closest friend from Sunderland, he killed himself. That
Oh
was in
wow,
'94. So I
that's
ended up
tough.
going to the doctors because I was depressed about that.
Of
And then
course, yeah.
after counselling and stuff, they said that I had PTSD from what happened in Ireland.
Right. Yeah.
So I suffered a long time with that. Started getting counselling, doing a few things, and then the counsellor suggested I get a dog to
Yep.
take sort of so I get out.
Brilliant idea. Yeah.
Worked great for about a year. Then I got attacked off two dogs and nearly killed. So I mean,
That's
you laugh,
you
mate. It's all
honestly
right.
couldn't write it, could you really?
Oh, it's all right. I can see the irony in it myself. So I ended up with 28 stitches in this arm, 8 in my
Wow.
leg. I had 34 puncture wounds, and I had three discs out my
Wow.
back. So for 10 years, I was in proper chronic pain. I've had 4 operations on my back.
Right.
Um, I had to learn to use my hand again because I couldn't use my hand. But because of that, I became addicted to painkillers, opiates,
Yeah.
um,
Makes sense. Yeah.
tramadol, hydrocodone,
Hmm.
um, diazepam. So I was taking all them as well as taking alcohol and smoking weed every day.
Yeah.
So I was in a proper mess, like, to be honest.
And I'd imagine, obviously, at that point, it's just like it's the physical pain mixed with the mental kind of pain
Yeah,
that's going on. So it's like a double whammy.
it
Um,
is. I mean, I got to one point where I went to take my own life down at
wow.
Roker Beach, and luckily I never. I had like a psychotic moment where I just thought that was the only way out. I was waking up as soon as I woke up every morning and realised I was going to be in pain all day till I went to sleep again.
That's such.
And
Yeah.
coughing, moving, anything. It was horrendous. And I thought that would be the easiest way. Luckily, I didn't do it. And I managed to pull myself around. I mean, in 2000, that was 2002 and 2004, I had a daughter. And that sort of kind of gave us a little bit of, I don't know, responsibility,
Yeah.
things I need, that changed my mindset, I would say. Because
Definitely.
before, I didn't really care if I was dead or went to jail.
Yeah.
I had no nothing about consequence, and they just didn't care.
Yeah.
Um, but once I had my daughter, that all changed. Luckily, so further down the line, I got myself better. I ended up running a bakery with my niece, and then one day I went to my parents' house and my dad died in front of us, and I gave him CPR, and it didn't work. So from that day, I said, well, I'm going to get a job where I help people. So
Yeah, makes sense.
I sold my bit of the bakery, and I used the money to pay my own wages at a homeless charity.
Oh,
So I could, and I've never looked back, to be quite honest. I mean, the only thing I would say is the charity that I actually worked for wasn't a very good charity
yeah.
in my eyes. The stuff that was going on wasn't good. Um, but I did learn things, and it put us on a kind of the path that I wanted to get on. In that time when I was volunteering, there used to be a hostel in Sunderland called Camrick's House,
Right.
and it was getting closed down. So I was helping move people, and I met a veteran in there who was 70, and he'd been in there for 3 years. He didn't have any drug or alcohol problems like everyone else in there. And I
Mm.
asked him, I said, why are you in here? And he said, oh, I tried to kill myself and they put us in here. And I've been here, I just thought I was going to die. I was here till I died. And I was like, well, that's. So that took me 2 weeks to get him into a nice flat, get all his benefits, get them all sorted. And I thought, well, that's
It's
just one person. There's got to be more.
yeah,
So I set Veterans in Crisis up.
mate. That's an amazing story, and obviously, I think you did very well to kind of, kind of boil that down a bit as well, because there's so much stuff happened. But yeah, I'm kind of blown away by that story of it, to be honest. Um, there's so much to kind of like think about there, but I think that obviously I can imagine that when you were at that homeless charity, you must have kind of thought to yourself there, because you had said you were at the part of the veteran section. I guess you must have kind of saw how they were doing stuff like wrong in a way, and you kind of identified like, oh, I can do, if I did this instead, that would
Well,
help them much
this
better.
this, this charity, I think, was set up in 1970, and they didn't have a veterans thing until I started
Right.
it. But what happens, and I'm not saying all charities are the same, but what happened with this one is I did all this work for free, then I finally got funded, and then they just took all the money. So,
Wow. I
and
mean, that's
the money was for veterans in Sunderland,
yeah,
which I am a veteran, and I live in Sunderland. So if I was on bad times,
yeah.
I wouldn't have got that money, and I wasn't happy with that.
No, it's wrong.
I ended up arguing about it, and I got demoted, and this is quite a funny story, to be honest.
Yeah, obviously, and we don't have to go too much into that, but that's pretty awful. And the fact that, and I think it's great as well that you kind of took initiative and said, well, you thought what you were like, sod it, you know what I mean? I'm going to make my own thing and help much more
Mm-hmm.
people, you know what I mean? And I think that's pretty admirable. Um, so obviously, when you kind of met that guy, it's kind of crazy, right? That he wasn't aware that he had that these benefits were out there, or he wasn't aware that he could do these things. And I think that that's really sad. You know what I mean? That just kind of put him there, and that he was kind of left there. So it's
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, his whole thought was that he was just there till he died.
yeah,
I mean, when he said that, it was heartbreaking.
definitely.
And to be in a hostel anyway isn't good for anybody.
Yeah,
Hostels are all right for a quick stop. A couple of nights, something like that. Nobody should live there.
yeah,
Nobody should be in there more than maybe a couple of weeks, a month.
definitely.
I mean, 3 years. There was people who've been in 22 years, man, and
Wow.
you've got to think, right, as a
Hmm.
taxpayer paying top dollar for people to live in these hostels that are not suitable.
No, you're right,
For
man.
half the price, you could have got them on flat.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, and I think that people don't really think about that as well. Um, so I think one of the things as well that makes it like so like that makes this veterans in crisis so good is the fact that you've got so much from your own experience. Like what you just kind of told me there. You were going through so much, so obviously you've said yourself, you were at Roke and you were having like suicidal thoughts, really. So you were really at the brink. So obviously, when people kind of come to you and they're going through something, because there's going to be people as well who've obviously like veterans who came to veterans in crisis and they felt that way, and you can tell them like, listen, man, like I was there, like I know that feeling because I've been there. And obviously with them being able to hear that and knowing your story, I reckon they're going to feel so much better just knowing that someone else has experienced something like that, and someone like local as well, and you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, the whole model that's designed is so it's like that. So anybody who works with veterans has to have been a client before.
Yeah.
So they've been a client, then they've been a volunteer, and then we've just took one person on there in a paid role.
Brilliant.
And that's what I want all the clients to feel like. Like that's something to
Yeah.
aim towards, because
Brilliant.
they can always share their experience. I don't tell people not to drink, not to take drugs.
Yeah.
Right? That's not my job. All I can tell them is my experiences when I was taking drugs and drinking. That's what happened to me. My life changed completely when I stopped taking
Yeah.
painkillers and drinking so much. And I mean, I drink now. I drink occasionally.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But what I did, I went cold turkey and I stopped everything for 6 months,
Sure.
which wasn't a really good idea, to be honest, like, because it absolutely killed us.
Yeah.
But that worked for me. I knew I was strong enough to do that. Not
Sure.
everyone is,
Yeah.
so I never ever put that on to people. And what you'll find is services will say, oh, all right, if you miss 3 appointments, that's you struck off the list. You
Yeah.
can miss as many appointments as you want with us.
Yeah.
I'm not bothered. You, if you've got problems, you're going to miss appointments.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Of
me,
course.
and me
Yeah.
saying you
Exactly.
can't come
Exactly
back
right.
because you missed an appointment. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Well, like, I think the NHS do a great job and stuff, but I've heard of people who've been, they've got like a counselling appointment and they get put in a waiting list to do a counselling appointment. And then by the time they finally get there, something like that'll happen, like they'll miss their appointment and then they're both right back off the list again. And
Yeah.
so they're not going to be able to get another appointment for who knows how long. And you know what I mean? It kind of defeats the object, really, when it's like,
And the thing with that as well is it takes a lot to ask for help, right?
yeah,
Once you ask for help, it's a lot easier, but it takes
yeah,
a lot to ask for help, especially for veterans because they're very proud.
yeah,
But if you're getting passed around, you've got to see your story over and over again, and that it shouldn't be like that. So what we do is we go with them. It's called referring company. We take them to appointments
yeah,
and we'll tell the story. We'll sit in with them. We'll write stuff down. So when we leave that appointment, we tell them what happened and say, "Do you realise what went on then?"
yeah.
And then we tell them when the next appointment is.
I think that's brilliant because as well, like, like what you're saying, if they're having to say that kind of over and over again and they feel like they're stuck in that kind of like preliminary phase and they're not getting moved on, it can be quite tough for them to open that wound, but then not to make
Yeah.
so much progress with it if they're having to say it over and over again.
Well, it's disheartening.
Yeah.
It's disheartening. And then you think, well, I've already told him it. I've
Yeah.
already told her it. What's the point of telling somebody else for them to just to say
Do the
it
same
and
thing.
tell somebody else it?
Yeah, exactly.
It's a bad way of working. Like, it is.
Definitely. And I think obviously, like speaking of what we're talking about at the moment, a big factor of it is relatability as well. A lot of I could like just what I'm imagining, but I'd imagine that a lot of people who are veterans, they may be telling someone if they go to someone in the NHS and they tell someone, they're going to be thinking that that person can't relate to what they're talking about because it's such a unique experience.
Yeah.
Being away to war and things like that, such a unique experience that someone can tell you all the advice in the world, but if unless they've experienced that, they're not really going to know what it's like. So with
Yeah,
you
well,
guys having
the worst thing you can hear is, "Yes, I know how you feel,"
right,
by
yeah,
somebody who's just been at university.
yeah,
And I'm not knocking people for doing a degree,
sure,
6 years, or
sure,
whatever. But
yeah,
if they've never been blew up and shot, they don't
yeah,
know
exactly.
how anybody feels.
I
And
know.
that is a real proper horrible thing to hear someone say, "I know how you feel." So
Yeah,
that's why my model is everyone has actually felt that. So
yeah,
it's never going to happen where people don't know what that feeling is like.
exactly. Yeah, and I
Now,
think
I set this out to be because I just started a one person,
mhm,
right, doing it for free. So I actually took another job. So I worked at Northumbria University.
yeah,
I took a job for 2 years. That just finished on the 1st of June.
right, yeah,
And I did this as well. So I've been working for the last 2 years. I've been working probably 16, 18-hour days
wow,
and weekends. So I've managed to
that's
get
amazing.
2 years. That's paid me way through setting Vix up.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
knew that after 2 years you could put in for decent funding
sure, yeah,
and prove that you were a good business.
definitely,
That's happened and it's worked out. That I've been funded. I've been funded and I've been funded to employ other people as well. So it was really hard work, but it drove us on. I'll tell you, I had this manager I had at charity when we fell out. She said
yeah,
like, I'm nothing, right, and I wouldn't get any further in Sunderland. Why she ran Sunderland, right? So every time that I was tired in that, right,
that's
in
what
that
kind of
two
you were
year,
like.
that just made me think, all right,
That was the fuel in the
and it's
fire.
just worth the trade, man.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
worth the trade. It's
Well,
great driving force. Someone
yeah.
telling you can't do something is a great driving force.
Yeah, this iron sharpens iron, right? And it's like it's that kind of when you think about sometimes something like that can really motivate you to kind of push.
It sticks in my mind. Honestly, I think about it daily. Whenever anything comes on and I feel a bit tired or I feel stressed. And I mean, you've got to think, I've got 280 clients, I've got staff, got my own problems. You know, I've got this building now I've got to buy. It's like, it's quite stressful.
Definitely.
But that always grounds us and it always makes us think, no, you're doing a great job.
Yeah, it gives you that next kind of boost, right?
Yeah.
I think as well, you know, in 2 years, like as you said, to just go from yourself to like over, was it 200 clients you said? Over
280 clients now.
280 clients. That's so massive. How has that been, like, adjusting to that in such a short time? It must have been a bit of a whirlwind.
Well, to be honest, I've picked a brilliant team, you know, and everything we do, it's all teamwork. You know, I couldn't do this by myself. Got a brilliant office manager. I picked two brilliant directors. I've got a great new member of staff, Sam. I've got great volunteers, you know, people who actually want to be doing it. So I'll only, because this is a thing that stuck in my mind, right? When I worked for that other charity, they were Gateshead based, and they didn't have really any empathy for people in Sunderland, right? Now, I love Sunderland. So I thought when I set this up, I'm only to help people in Sunderland, but also I'll make it a community interest company so the community can get involved.
Yeah, brilliant.
Then I can sort of only employ people from Sunderland. I'll only employ contractors to work on the building from Sunderland, even if it's more expensive.
Yeah.
Not every single thing that we do is only involves Sunderland.
Brilliant. I feel like there's some. So I feel like that kind of, you know, explains, as you were saying, why it's been so successful then, because I think that, like, you know, investing in the community, and I think, as you said, you know, with you know, bringing in ex-clients who come into volunteers, and then once they're volunteers, then they come part of the team as well. And I feel like that kind of progression, alongside, you know, it being completely within Sunderland, I feel like that's obviously helped to kind of, you know, strengthen it really. So that makes sense.
Partnership working with the likes of yourselves and the whole of Sunderland. I mean, we've this has never been known, but we've been asked to join, and we've joined the partnership of the City of Sunderland. So it's like the council, the police, the fire brigade, Gen 2, big hitters, you know, and like we're just this tiny little firm, and you know, it's just it's amazing, really.
Yeah.
One of the things I'm most proud of is the work we do with Sunderland CCG and the GP Alliance.
Yeah.
So what we managed to do is get an armed forces champion in every doctors in Sunderland. So if they've got any problem at all with any veteran, they just phone us. We can sort it out.
That's awesome.
Now, that's never been done before, ever, anywhere. No. And we won a national award for it, you know. So
that's groundbreaking, you know what I mean? Yeah.
It is. It's just amazing that it happened, you know. And all that's partnership working. What I found before was people are too keen to keep clients for themselves because they think, well, we're not going to send them there because the funding will go to there, and you know. But we were doing it for free, so it's not that. What you need to do is think of the client, not yourself.
Definitely.
You know, not the money what you're going to get.
Yeah.
If there's somebody in a different service that can help my client better than I can, I'm more than happy to bring them in.
That's awesome. Yeah.
As long as it's in Sunderland.
Well, yeah, and that's good for business as well, because obviously, you know, if they're doing that good and then you're doing good, like if people in the community are doing good, it makes the community stronger, right? So so I can understand that as well. I think as well it's great that you've set something like this up, because I can imagine that you know, back in the 90s, as you were saying, I feel like things like, you know, PTSD were not in the army, they were nowhere near as well known about as they are now, right? So I feel like, you know, a lot of people from back then, obviously, I'd imagine they would have like loved to have something like what you guys have set up now, and I think it's
I mean, even now it's quite. There's nothing like this in the country. Not that does exactly the same stuff, you know. Because we're sort of a one-stop shop. We can help with everything because we'll go to other people for help. We'll not just say we'll do it all.
Yeah. That's absolutely awesome. So yeah, I want to ask, what have you guys been up to during the pandemic? Because I know it's been a pretty crazy time for everybody. So how's that been?
It's been strange. So we bought this building. We were trying to buy this building. We rented the building. Then we did it up. Spent about 20 grand. Then it got put up for sale. So we're in the processes of buying that off our partner Springboard. The building consists of a drop-in downstairs, where the clients can come in every day, wash the clothes, have a shower, watch Netflix, have a cuppa, have the breakfast, have the dinner, whatever they want. Next floor is an emergency apartment. The next floor is a therapy centre where we do different types of therapies.
Yeah.
And the top floor is a podcast. So
Wow.
we were just getting really to use every floor. It was brilliant.
Yeah.
Then this has happened. So what we've had to do is sort of only this week we've let one client in
Yeah.
at a time. We've did everything remotely. We've been doing video calls, Zoom meetings. We have a coffee morning every Tuesday morning at the Gunners Club.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Lisa came along to that, and we get about 50 clients now, and it's great. Everyone, we get free food from Greg's, tea and coffee. You know, there's no alcohol, obviously. So that's a big miss. So what we did, we set a virtual coffee morning up. So they all got their coffee in their own house, and we did it on Teams and Zoom. You know, and that's been good. We set up WhatsApp groups for them to get involved. We do a buddy check, so you get one client to ring another client, make sure he's okay or she's okay, and then that client to ring another one. You know, and it keeps everyone in the same sort of state of mind, because it's lonely. You know, if you're by yourself, it's lonely.
I feel like as well, like, you know, if it's anything like media savvy as well, like we've always got new people coming in, but we've got our like core learners who've, you know, they've been with us throughout, and we do like similar things, like we have drop-in sessions, and we've got certain learners that they'll always come to our reliably to our drop-in lessons, like the same learners who've been with us for years. And then when something like, you know, the pandemic hits, and that's like a key part of someone's routine or someone's learning, like just totally took out. And I can imagine it would be, you know, a similar thing with your service, how you've got someone who has been part of you guys for a while, and then as we're saying, you know, for that to kind of go away, it can be a pretty daunting for some people. So obviously, you know, being able to have that buddy check, being able to kind of have the virtual coffee morning, I mean, it means a lot to them. Obviously, just being able to kind of stay in touch, right?
It does. I mean, the Gunners Club, they look forward. I mean, some of them have been coming for just over 2 years.
Yeah.
You know, and they love it. It's a highlight of the week for them. So that to be taken away, that's been horrible for them. We've been going around knocking on doors, and food parcels, we call them ration replens, because that's what the forces do. So we've been doing that, and we've been getting quite a lot of food from Greg's, the Hilton Hotel, for instance, Muller's Bakers. We've been taking them to people's houses, but you've got to knock, then walk further away, and you know it's not the same, but at least there's some human contact.
Definitely, and yeah, you're still getting out there, you're still kind of delivering the community, and it's just the fact that, like, as long as they know that you're still there as well, it's like that you haven't forgot about them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
well, we do. Every client gets a lifetime membership to Fitness 2000 Gym, which is donated. So obviously Sam does circuits 3 times a week for them.
Right.
So they'll come here, have the breakfast, go on there, do the circuit, come back, wash the gear, get a shower. That's at a stop. Now that's been a big miss for all of them, the ones that take part. So this week, you're allowed to knock around with another 5 people. We've been able to do that outside. And today we've actually had a personal trainer take us, Hayley Porter from Hayley Storm Fitness.
Sure. Yeah, brilliant.
I think she did stuff with you before.
Yeah, potentially, yeah.
Yeah. So she's took us. I mean, I've just did it today. I'm eating at the minute, but she's did it today, and that's something for them to look forward to, you know.
We've tried it because we've got like a health and fitness side to Media Savvy as well, and we try and we've been doing like virtual workouts every week, because we've had health and fitness like virtual classes, and at the end of that we've got a lad who's like a PT, and he'll do like a virtual session as well. So I think that's been quite like beneficial to people, like along the same lines. But I think that it's really good that, and I think that you guys having those circuits is great, because I think that you know, the role that exercise plays in mental health is massive, right? Would you agree with that?
Well, we have a running club.
Brilliant.
We have a walking club called Ramblers Anonymous. We have dog walking. Awesome. More stuff that we try to do is outside. We do a lot of adventure training, you call it in the army. So like we go away with Springboard to Allen Heads. We've been up to Kielder. We've been to the lakes.
That's awesome.
You know, anything that keeps you busy and reminds you, basically. You can have a laugh, but I think the thing that they like the most, which they're missing, is every Friday they go to the Beacon of Light,
Right.
and they do two sporting events, and they've made themselves into two teams.
Oh, grand.
So they play each other two sporting events every week.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
they have banter about that for the whole week.
Of course, yeah.
You know,
Whoever won, like whoever
whoever
won for
won,
that week, to be
and then
teasing
we're
them a
gonna
bit.
beat you this week. And I mean, they miss that,
Yeah,
So that's a
definitely.
really good thing for them. Like
Yeah,
we do
yeah.
lots of stuff with the Beacon of Light.
No, I think that's cracking, and it sounds, one of the things that sounds so good about is that, as you said yourself, it's not just about one thing. You guys can, you're expanding to do like different things. Like you've obviously got the podcast, and then you've got, some of these different activities, and then you said you got the therapy room. So it's good that someone can come to obviously veterans in crisis, and it's not just one particular thing. There's a lot of different things they can access from that point
Well,
on.
really, you could come here at 9 o'clock, and then you could do something all day, every day. And Saturday you could do some circuits on the morning, and then we've got season tickets for the match, so they can go to the match as well.
Cracking. That's
So
absolutely
basically, it's like having a job
yeah.
in time.
Yeah.
What we try to do that is because that gives them less time to want to drink, take
Yeah.
drugs, or be
Yeah.
lonely.
Yeah, definitely.
So there's nothing wrong with people coming in at 5 o'clock and having a glass of wine or having a beer. People
Yeah, yeah.
do that all over the world in any sort of job.
100%. Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that, but there is something wrong with getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning and having a pint. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
That's not good.
No, yeah,
No one's
definitely.
no one's going to say to you, stop having a drink when you come in from work or you've been busy all day.
Yeah, yeah,
Have a
yeah.
drink.
Yeah.
Get to bed early because they're knackered because they've done stuff.
Yeah.
Some of them haven't worked or done any kind of physical activity for 20 years.
Yeah.
So now they've got this routine where, because they get up early to come here, no one's allowed to come here if they've been drinking the night before and they smell alcohol.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
one's allowed to come under the influence of any drug.
Yeah.
So
Makes
they
sense.
know if they come, they're not allowed in,
Yeah.
which means they're not allowed to do all them activities that day.
And it's what you're saying as well. Like it's kind of like nurturing that kind of environment where they want to come because they want to have a big crack with their mates. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
They want to have a bit of banter, and it's like they don't. It gets to the point where they're friends with you guys, obviously, like to a point, and then they're obviously they're friends with the people there, and so they want to come to be part of the crack. They want to come to be part of the you know. So they're just thinking they don't want to let people down. So if they do,
yeah.
they are inclined to drink and stuff like that. They'll think no, because I've got to go Veterans Crisis tomorrow. I really want to do this, and it's decentivizing them from drinking and so on. So I think that's
Well,
obviously
in the 2.5 years and 280 clients, it's only happened twice
right. Wow.
that someone's turned up and they've had a drink.
Yeah.
And I've had to say, nah, it's not happening.
Yeah.
It's not fair on the other people,
Definitely. Yeah, that's a
but
good
it's
point as well.
also health and safety wise, it isn't any good. You
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
be doing stuff. I mean, we do like an art therapy session on a Wednesday.
Cracking. Yeah.
Sometimes they're using tools. You could cut yourself or whatever, and it's not fair smelling a drink.
Yeah. 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 And as well, it's
you can have a drink on a night if you want.
yeah, and it's like obviously if there's other people who've had issues with drinking and they're there and they're smelling the drink as well, it's not going to be good for them. So it's like, yeah, I can totally see where you're coming from. Yeah.
Well, one of the things that I got sort of tortured about is when I first started the Gunners Club, all the services were saying that I couldn't do it because it was a pub.
Right.
But the idea behind it was that I wanted to show them that they can go into a pub, not drink alcohol, and have tea and coffee. Have crack on with people.
Do you know what it
eat
is?
some food.
I think that's actually brilliant as well because I feel like it's like kind of like it's like exposure. You know what I mean? Like kind of therapy. So I think that it's great because they are triggers for people, right? So it's like there might be someone who's got a bit of a drinking issue, and then the mate's like, oh, before the match I want to go to Lloyd's and get a breakfast. And then they know as soon as they go into Lloyd's that they're going to end up drinking, and it's like they've got that loop in their head. But then if they've already had an experience where they've been in a bar and they've said, right, we're going to have a cup of tea and stuff, then they'll already think, no, I'm all right. The other week I was doing it and I didn't have to drink, so I'll be all right. So I think that's great, because there's going to be times when they might end up in a bar with a friend, and if they've done it once, then they'll think, yeah.
Well, a good thing that came out of it, we ended up getting a card made for them. We spoke to some of the bars in town, and quite a few of them took us up on our idea of giving our clients free tea and coffee. Right, so we got We got a card made for them,
Brilliant.
and they go in and they can have a free tea and coffee,
Yeah.
and 25% off food.
Yeah.
You know, so that it proves if you've been going to pubs all your life, to take that away,
Yeah.
it's probably never going to work.
Yeah.
So if you just jiggle it around a little bit, and
Definitely.
you can still go into pubs, you just don't have to drink.
Yeah. It's a great
especially
way
during the day, you know.
Yeah, because they're going to be thinking like, yeah, because otherwise they'll just be thinking like, oh, I can't do that. And then if they go to a pub, they'll feel guilty, and then because they feel bad,
Yeah.
they're going to start drinking. But if they thought, no, I can go here, I just don't have to drink, and then it's like they can still talk to the mates. And I think it's a good way of approaching it, to be honest.
Well, they're all adults, you know,
Yeah,
at the end of the
exactly.
day.
Yeah, yeah.
So, there's a big alcohol culture in the forces. So drinking is basically, you drink if you're sad, you drink if you're happy, if you're celebrating, if you're commiserating.
Definitely.
So to take that away completely, it's really difficult because you're setting people up to fail straight away. You know, in the environment of a pub. So that's the type of environment we try to create in the Gunners, is like the naffy.
Yeah.
You know, so they have a laugh. You can say what you want. You know, people maybe squatties, and they're not offended because they're used to that sort of stuff. So some people might be offended if they weren't military people. You know, but this is an environment for military people. So
well, yeah, one of my mates, he's in the Royal Engineers, and I think he's a corporal, and they've got like their own like little quarter thing.
Corporal's mess.
Yeah, the corporal's mess. That's the one. And then like he says, they always like have a drink, and like I can imagine like the environment. That's obviously like quite nice for them to kind of unwind if they've been working all week. So.
Because it's a stressful job, you know.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
A lot of people carry a lot of baggage around with them, the things they've seen.
Definitely.
And so, I mean, the military's a lot better now, but when I was in, what happened to us in 1988, never to this day ever got spoke about again. Wow. So 8 people were dead. Other than the next day when we got told who was dead, it never got spoke about again. Yeah, nobody. I was 18-year-old. Nobody ever said like, "Are you all right?" Anything like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's apparently it's better now though.
Yeah, and I think as well that's the thing is there because if you're struggling, there's no way that the other lads like in the group are not as well. But if you're struggling, and then you'll start to kind of get in your own head because you think like, we're not talking about this. How's everybody else doing? Are they all right? Is it only me? And like you're gonna start to like your mind will eat you a little bit. So talking about that and being open, it helps so much because you think, well, I'm not alone in this. You know what I mean? Other people are. They feel the same way. So.
Well, I never even family spoke about it for openly like I am with you. 20 years.
Wow.
So I did one of the studies I did with Northumbria Uni was about alcohol in veterans.
Yeah.
And what the findings was that is the average time for a veteran to ask for help with alcohol is 18 years.
Wow.
So they've been basically alcohol dependent for 18 years before they've asked for help. Yeah. Now in that 18 year, the problem is not alcohol anymore. You've got mental health problems, you've got physical problems, your liver, your kidneys, all that sort of stuff,
It's already happening, yeah. As well, mate, it's interesting you mentioned that as well, because you always hear stories about like World War II veterans, and like they went through just things that like nobody had ever seen ever before them, and you hear about them like living the whole life and they never talk about it again, and just you can't even imagine like how much that must have just ate them up inside, and for them to like never talk about. And as well, the fact that like no one could relate to that, and they've seen like unbelievably tragic stuff. So it makes you think really like how those people must have been suffering at the time. And especially because it wasn't encouraged to talk about it in the society. It was kind of like people just didn't mention it. It wasn't like something that was brought up often. So it must have been it's awful, I think, for anybody who's had it, but like as well, like going back in time just before. And I think that was a time when people didn't even really know what PTSD was, or if it was even...
it was called shell shock.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, well, you'll find now though, when veterans get together, unless they're sort of coming for a one-to-one or something like that, nobody really talks about what happened to them.
Yeah.
Everyone just talks about the funny things.
Of course, yeah.
Because of dark sense of humor. I mean, you can talk about people who's lost legs and they'll make a joke about it.
Right, yeah.
You get people who talk about the time they tried to commit suicide and they couldn't even do that properly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's the type of humor that veterans have.
Definitely. Well, that's important.
And it gets you through, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
sorry, it's got me through my whole life. That
No, I think
just
it's
laughing about stuff, you know.
yeah, I think you're right, mate, because that's the best thing, you know. I mean, though it's like a cliche, isn't it? But they say laughter's like the best medicine, but it's true in a way. And it is, you know, being able to kind of joke about it and poke fun and stuff like that. I think, you know, definitely gets you through it. I think it's a very British kind of attitude as well. I
Yeah,
think
it
it's
is.
very British, like that for people to kind of have like a, you know, dry sense of humor and joke about stuff like that.
But people should laugh though, shouldn't they?
Hundred
You should
percent,
laugh every day, man. You
hundred
just
percent. Yeah, yeah, definitely. I
there's a
completely
lot
agree,
of
mate.
too much seriousness goes on in the world, man.
Yes,
You
I
know, you
couldn't agree
need to
more,
have a
mate.
laugh, and you need to come to work, and you need to enjoy yourself. You know, you don't need to be under pressure all the time, and
Totally. That's it,
you
man.
know, your life's too short
I
to
totally
be
agree.
worrying about stuff
Yeah,
all the
and
time.
when I'm like, that's the thing, and you know, from a personal standpoint, when I'm just like talking to my mates and stuff, I just want to have a good time. I just want to have a laugh. I want to make them laugh, and you know, I just want to have fun. And I think that's it. You know, I totally
But
agree.
what I've found me doing this job is that I'm a lot less tolerant to people telling us the problems that are not veterans or not clients,
Yeah, right. Like,
because
well,
their
some of this.
problems are not real problems.
Yeah,
You know
yeah, I
what I
can
mean?
totally
Like
imagine.
somebody pops complaining that their front room's only too small, right? When I've just been talking to somebody who lives in a hole. You know what I mean?
Well,
So
something like, not to go into too much detail, but I thought that was really funny when the whole quarantine thing happened and all the celebrities were like, "Oh, I'm like in a prison," and I'm like thinking, "Yeah, like living in a mansion with like a massive swimming
exactly,
pool," and it's like, "Come on, man," you know what I mean?
exactly, man. You know, there's always somebody worse off.
Definitely.
So what you got to think of is all the things that you should be thankful for,
Yes,
not the things that you're moaning about.
definitely. I totally agree, man. I totally agree, and it's hard because you lose track of that sometimes, and it sounds a bit woo woo, but I think if you can kind of take the time to ever like just think about the good stuff that's going in your life, like if you just sit and you think about that and you remember a few good things that have happened even on the day, it's a good way to kind of keep yourself in check, I think, and it's something I
Mm.
do that works. It's just like you just think, okay, like these good things are happening, so
Well,
yeah,
this job's very rewarding because obviously I help people in all types of ways, but
definitely,
it does have its stresses.
for sure,
So before I go home, I always go either running or to the gym,
yeah,
and then by the time I've done that, then I go home. I've sort of forgot about it
yeah.
until the next day because I never take any problems home with us, you know, because I don't want
It's
to be going
brilliant.
in the house
And having
twisting
that
about
kind of
stuff, you know.
for me it's like a very physical thing. Like I feel like when I get like stressed, I feel it in my chest and it feels like I've got like a little like a knot in my chest. And if I like honestly, as you're saying, if I go for a run or if I go like to the gym, I just feel like it loosens, like literally.
Mhm.
And then I just come back and because I feel like when you're stressed and anxious you get tight, and you just like in a physical way, you're getting the blood rushing to your muscles, you're loosening yourself up a bit, you're loosening all that stiffness up from the stress, and at the same time you're getting yourself breathing more. So yeah, the difference from when if I'm stressed and if I've exercised, it's unreal.
It
Um,
is, it is. Now, this is what I try to tell the clients. Like, you know, it works for me, and
yeah,
if it works for me, it should work for other people.
definitely,
Just that any problems, just try and do something that you enjoy, but
yeah,
something that's physical. You know,
definitely,
that feeling when you've finished. Like today, I've did that hours circuit lesson,
yeah,
and then I've had a bath, and you know, I feel great. You know,
oh,
I feel
definitely,
great.
yeah, and
I mean, I'm not gonna feel great tomorrow, like, because it's the first time I've done it for
that's when it
ages.
kicks in, right?
I'm not gonna be able to walk tomorrow. So,
That's the one thing,
but it is a great feeling, you know, and
definitely,
everyone enjoys it. And
yeah,
this camaraderie, you have a laugh with the people you're doing it with, you know. And I mean,
exactly,
even when I do it running, I don't like running with other people.
yeah.
I do it for the running club, but I like to go by myself and put my earphones in, and that's sort of
Yeah,
my time.
yeah, and I think as well, like what we're it gives you more perspective, right? Because if something's been on your mind and you go for a run and you go out and you go to the park or something, you see a bit of scenery, it clears your mind a bit as well. It like lets you be able to think about it a bit more when you're just by yourself and you're not like. I think we're so like inundated with technology all the time. We're always looking at our phones. We're so plugged in, and being able to go for a run and being able to like just see like the greenery and stuff like that. I think that it
Mm.
helps so much, and you can actually just it gives you a bit more peace of mind. I think so.
Uh, well,
Definitely,
I'm supposedly running a marathon this year. Like, I've never done one.
mate. What I was gonna do,
I ran the Great North Run last year,
yeah.
with no training. All I did was drink non-alcoholic lager for 2 weeks.
Whoa.
And I thought I did it, and
Yeah.
it killed us, like, but I did it, and then I thought, oh, I'll just do a marathon next year.
I'd love to do a marathon. I did Great North Run when I was like 20, so like a long time ago now. And I was running every day then, like I was probably bang into it. So I did all right, but like now, mate, like we were supposed to be doing Tough Mudder, which is like it's a bit intense. Like I'd never done Tough Mudder before, but it looked pretty intense, and I was getting quite nervous because I was doing good, I was exercising a lot, and then when quarantine stuck, I started pigging out and eating like absolute like crap, and then I was getting kind of anxious about it. But I think it's been cancelled or postponed now, which is sad because
Uh,
I still want to do it. But there was a
was
little
it the
part
one
of
in
me.
Leeds?
Yes, yeah, it was me. Yeah,
I was going to, we were going to put a team in there,
yeah,
but I go to a festival called Kendall Calling, and it's the
right.
same weekend.
Fair enough. Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm up to 9.5 miles running,
It's good, man.
but
That's a
the
good
the
distance, that mate.
marathon's not till October.
Yeah.
But in my mind, I'm thinking it's not going to go ahead.
Yeah, that well,
I mean,
yeah,
that's what I keep thinking. Didn't try to work because it's
that's
not going to go ahead.
that was my Tough Mudder attitude, and I mean, obviously, I wanted to do it because like any opportunity to like help out, but at the same time, I was thinking, man, I was like, I can't, this is food. I'm surrounded by food in the house, man. You know what I mean? It's
This is
like,
it, huh? You know, I have a couple of bottles of water on a night, and then
yeah,
I have some food, some nice food. When my so I've got a daughter and a partner.
yeah, yeah,
My partner's was the high risk, so they moved away for 8 weeks. So
yeah,
in them 8 weeks, I ate quite healthy and stuff. But
brilliant, yeah.
while they were away, they said that they'd had takeaways delivered. I didn't even know takeaways were delivered.
Yeah,
So since they've come back,
that's
we've
it.
we've had just one a week,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
which has been a good treat. Like,
That's it. I'm trying to keep it down to one a week myself. But I'm just the worst, man. I've got two roommates, and if one of them asks me like, "Do I like to fancy takeaway?" I'm just like, I've got like the worst like willpower. I'm just like, yeah, yeah, let's do it. So,
do you like burgers?
oh yeah, yeah, love it, love
Oh
burgers,
man,
man.
this last I know is just opened a burger thing called brioche buns.
Oh,
Oh, it's lovely, man.
sounds
We
awesome.
had it this last Friday.
Yeah, wow.
Really nice, dirty fries and that.
Oh yeah, I love it like that. I'll have to
Check it
check that
out.
out.
Check
I
it
will.
out.
Definitely. Right, Joe. We're gonna just catch up with the chat because I think our learners have been saying a few bits and bobs, so I'm just gonna pop in and catch up. Right, let's have a little look. So one of our learners, Sue, says that veterans are badly neglected in this country, and to you, Joe, she says your help is well needed, and that's talking from experience. So she says thank you so much. So that
No bother, Sue. Anytime.
and Mel from Media Savvy, she says that it's a life changing service for so many people, and veterans in crisis do an amazing job. So that's awesome. Um, Sue as well, just underneath that, says that my BF, my boyfriend, is a veteran. The government keep harassing him about benefits he can't claim. So I don't know anything about that, but that's obviously awful if she's
Well, if he's from Sunderland, he's got a daughter's in Sunderland. Tell her get in touch.
yes, right, Sue. So yeah, if he's in Sunderland, and he's got
If he's anywhere, just tell him to get in touch, and I'll put him onto someone somewhere else.
cracking.
You know.
Brilliant. Well, I'll be in touch then. I can pass Sue. So if you let us know about that, if he is a bit Sunderland based, then we can put you in touch with veterans in crisis in Jer. And hopefully, if he's got a Sunderland doctors, we can get something going there. So that would be awesome. That if so. And let's see if there's anything else. She was saying, yeah, it's hard to see him get stressed when they don't help. I can imagine. And yeah, anything else? It's just a crack about Lloyd, talking about Lloyd in Sunderland since when I mentioned it. They were saying someone said, Lynn said that there is a Lloyd's in Sunderland Wetherspoons, but not Lloyd. She says it's a posher branch of Lloyd, so I don't know about that. And okay, let's have a look. Yeah, and then one of Matthew said that does the Lasses Burger place do veggie burgers because they would love a veggie burger.
I think so. Brioche buns, it's called. Just tell them to check it out on Facebook.
And yeah, so Sue got back there and she said that he's East Durham. So I'm not sure if that
East Durham, he can contact East Durham veterans.
East Durham veterans.
They've got a Facebook page.
Right, Sue. So that's one to check out. East Durham veterans, and I can email you the Facebook if you have trouble finding that. But that's one to look out for. Yes, mate. So let's see. Oh, I looked on your website before, Joe, and I saw that you did a skydiving thing for
Oh,
charity? How was that?
uh-huh.
Because something I've always wanted to do, but I've never had the bottle
It was
to do
all
it.
right. It was all right. I tell you, what was the problem about it was there's a lot of waiting around, and I'm really busy all the time.
Yeah.
So I booked on it, and then I turned up, and then I was there 4 hours, and it got cancelled. Then I went away, and I come back, and then I got on the plane, and the plane took off, and then it just come back and landed again, and then because it got cancelled again.
Oh
So
no.
that was a whole day. I spent something
Yeah.
like 9 hours. I spent on the airplane on the airfield. Didn't get to do it. Next time I went, I was there for about 4 hours before I actually jumped. And you jump, and it took about 5 minutes.
Yeah. So it's like,
So
oh.
it was a good experience, but I would never do it again unless
Yeah.
they said you can just come now and jump out.
Yeah.
Because I just haven't got that time to just think. But
I
it
know,
was all
like
right.
9 hours.
But the video,
Yeah.
right? That I used to share a room with the guy who took that video when I was in the army. Never seen him, right, since 1991, and then I seen
Whoa.
him last year to
That's
do that.
wild.
Yeah.
That'd be a mad way to catch up, isn't it? To go skydiving
Right, right.
together.
Well, he contacted us because I've never been on Facebook other
Yep.
than for Veterans in Crisis, and he contacted us. Says, "Oh, nice to see you." And then I said, "Oh, what are you doing?" He said, "Oh, I'm filming, doing things." I said, "Oh, I'm going to do one." And he went, "Oh, well, I'll film you for free, give you the video." And
Yeah.
that was, that's it. First time I've seen him. Like,
It's absolutely cracking that. But yeah, hopefully I'll get to do it in the future. But that 9 hours waiting and then not to dive, that doesn't sound the best. So
well, and the bloke who went after me crashed into a house in Peterlee. He was in intensive care. All right. If he was the
whoa.
bloke before me, I would have fucking jumped. Oh, sorry.
It's fine, it's alright, man.
I wouldn't have jumped.
Yeah,
Tell you, if he was the one
I
before
know.
me, he's the bloke after me.
One of my mates, like he loves it. And he went to like it's like a skydiving school in Chicago, like, and they do like an intensive course. And he said that the second time he jumped, he had to pull his reserve. Like his parachute didn't come out, and he had to pull his reserve on his second jump. And he said he was absolutely brigging it. But he said that he had to go back because they do like a certain amount of jumps in a day. I can't remember how many it is, because he wanted to get his skydiving license. And so he had to go back up again straight after that because he was like, but he was absolutely breaking it, obviously. But he knew that he had to do it then, or he would never do it again because it's like it's that window,
That's
isn't
it.
it? Like,
Yeah, that's it, man. I tell
yeah,
you when. So the thing with PTSD is you put stuff off, like you've just said there.
yeah,
So when I got bit from the dogs,
right,
the
yeah.
day I got out of hospital, I went to the place where I got bit on the park. Stood there
Wow.
with you all bandaged up like a mummy, just to prove to myself, that I'm not going to be scared to come on here. Like,
Yeah,
it was the
definitely.
best thing I done.
And yeah, I think that that's a thing as well, isn't it? And we mentioned that a bit before about the exposure with the pubs and stuff. And I think it's like it's it can be one of those things where if you can't, you think, oh, I'm not going to go to this place, then you kind of start to just think, right, it becomes what more thing, and then in the end, it's like I'm not going to leave the house, I'm not going to go out the
Yeah,
house because it's just going to get bigger and bigger. It's
yeah.
facing your fears, really, isn't it? It's
It is, right? It's a
so,
fight or flight.
yeah,
So, what's going to happen? Just stay it.
yeah.
That's what I tell everyone, just stay it. That's what they tell me. Look what happened with the dogs.
As well though. But that's the thing, isn't it? It's like it's one of those things where if you think about it too much, you can talk yourself out of it. So it's like
Yeah,
it's one of those only times where thinking about it actually hurts it. It's like just doing it is
yeah,
maybe the
just
best
stay
way
it,
around
man.
it.
Just best off just doing it.
Yeah. So mate, yeah, I know you've got your own podcast. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that? Like, how could we listen and where could we find it? And
Yeah, we've got our YouTube channel, Veterans in Crisis. We've got Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and you can watch on YouTube. You can listen on Spotify and listen on iTunes. Um, the ones I've been doing recently because of the virus are all Zoom ones, so they've been coming out on Facebook because they're only about half an hour. Normally, I would do them for an hour. If they've got veterans on, so would normally be with some swearing and
yeah.
things that are close to the knuckle. But there's a disclaimer on the beginning if you don't want to listen. Don't listen.
There you go. So yeah, guys. So there's the Veterans in Crisis podcast there, and you guys are on Facebook as well, and Twitter, as you said yourself. And you guys have actually got. I looked at the website before. You guys have got a really good website. I can post that in the chat now, guys. If you guys want to check out the website as well, because they've got a really good website. It's well set up. And yeah, so if people want to listen to the podcast, and it's on Spotify as well, which I think is really cool. So yeah, you can check that out as well, guys. So I want to ask as well, Joe, are you guys got anything coming up at all, or is there anything you guys have got in place for when the pandemic's over, like how to get back into the swing of things? Or
Well, we've got lots of ideas what we're going to be doing.
brilliant.
It just depends on how the sort of government tell you what you can do. We like to
Yeah,
do a lot of going away and doing adventure training and stuff, but we're not sure how that's going to work.
yeah,
We do a lot of walking and fitness in the summer, especially in the summer months. We've got some projects that's up and running now. We've got one that's with the Beacon of Light. We've got one that's with the
brilliant.
university. Um, we've also been given funding to do different things from the Armed Forces Covenant. So everything's gone really well apart from this virus. To be honest,
Yeah,
it's
no,
it's went really really well. I can't complain about anything. What from my point of view, being able to employ people has been a game changer.
definitely.
You know, like to be able to employ a an actual full time fundraising guy, so that his job is to get us funding,
Yeah,
and that's worked.
brilliant.
Since he's been in post, we've got loads of funding.
There you go. Yeah,
Because we did everything for free for 2 years, just because I wanted to build it up.
for sure.
But
Makes
obviously
sense.
that isn't sustainable.
Yeah,
I can't ask people. I didn't mind giving my time, but I can't ask people to give their time all the time for free.
yeah,
And I would like people to see that there's a sort of clear pathway from client, volunteer to full time work.
yeah.
It's a great thing.
Yeah, mate, and I mean, aside from the fact that, like, aside from the benefit of the service itself, like all of the amazing things that come along with that, the fact to be able to have a progression route to employment as well potentially, um, is amazing. You know what I mean? That's just like the cherry on the top, I think.
Yeah,
And
it's
then
great. It's
it's
great. The I mean, in Sunderland, because of the way we run things, if we get a veteran and he needs a job, we just ask on Facebook and somebody gives him a job
right,
or
yeah.
her a job. You know what I mean? We have specific companies in Sunderland who will only employ our clients.
Brilliant.
It's great. It's great.
That's absolutely awesome. So we've got a couple of people in chat there. They're just kind of talking, I think, a little bit about the skydiving. Mel said that she managed a static line jump solo at Shotton Airfield. She says it was the most
Uh,
amazing experience, terrifying but worth it. And she says that also my dad works at Caterpillar, and many people have landed on the factory roof.
yeah, well, I did a static line jump when I was 16 when I
Wow.
first joined the army, and bizarrely somebody sent us a photograph the other day,
Yeah.
and we met Richard Branson. Richard Branson's with us
No
in
way.
this photograph, right? But on that jump, my best mate broke his knee,
Oh
right?
man.
And then one lad, his other, his spare parachute
Yeah, yeah.
that opened as well, and it went under his legs, and he landed like that. And the man on the tannoy was shouting, "Kick your legs, kick your legs!" But obviously, being squaddies, everyone was just laughing. He
Oh
just
man,
smashed
yeah.
his face in.
No way. That's a nightmare, man. Yes, and then also Lynn said she went to Northumberland skydive years ago and it got called off twice because of the weather. So yeah, I think a couple of people can relate to that experience. Yeah,
Oh,
so seems like a bit of a pain. Um, yeah, so Joe, I think that we're kind of about ready, like kind of wrapped down. I'm just gonna, if anybody has any questions that they want to ask Joe just before we go offline, just make sure to get them in now. And guys, I'm gonna post a link to our survey. So guys, make sure that you do that because obviously it'll take about a minute, 30 seconds to a minute roughly. I'm sure you've done it before if you guys are watching this, and it's just in the description there, but I'll find a link to that as well because me and Joe are going to go in about 5 minutes there. Um, Otherwise, is there anything that you'd like to add at all, Joe, or are you kind of
no,
are
I
you
mean,
happy?
if there's anyone listening and they're a veteran or a family member, because we help families as well. It's
Right,
not just the veterans,
brilliant.
families. If they're from Sunderland and they want any help, they can get in contact with us. Even if they're not from Sunderland, like that East Durham there, I can put them onto people.
That's
That
yeah.
we have like a kind of good connections all over the country. I've even sorted people out in Plymouth. So
Wow.
uh,
Yeah. So, guys, there you heard there. Veterans in Crisis on Facebook, Veterans in Crisis on Twitter. The website is veteransincrisis.co.uk. And if you're Sunderland based, what's the best way to access the service, Joe? It's if you're Sunderland based, if you have a Sunderland doctor, and then
Yeah.
that's it, yeah. So
Yeah.
and then as Joe said himself there, guys, if even if you're not, he says he can put you obviously in touch with people and check in your local area as well. So I think that's awesome, mate. And I think that is about it. It doesn't seem like we've got thanks. And then Lynn said that she thinks that Branson moved on to space after that. So
All right, let's have to see us.
that's so funny. But yeah, guys, I think that's about it. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna put the advice lines on just for a couple of minutes, just in the background. And I think that is about it, guys. We'll see you guys on Monday. And thanks for coming on, Joe, mate. I really appreciate it.
Anytime, mate.
It was great. All right, so see you later, guys. I'm just going to put those advice lines on now. And see you later.